Look, today's video is going to be very interesting. We are going to work with our user card. Let me just remove this so that the card is empty. The overall goal of this video is to actually be able to load these items to the card, because on our previous video we only got the items from the database. Now we want to do this. Boom, add this to cart. Boom, add this to cart as well. And again, we want it to be smart enough so that when you try to add this item again, it's going to tell you, bro, go and check your cart, because this item is already there. And if you come here to our cart, we have our total price here, and you can increment the number of items, which changes the total price, which is only right to do, right? And you can remove items from the cart, and the way you do that is, for example, if you only have one item and you click here, boom, the item is gone and the price is right here, and you can remove this as well. So this is the goal for this one, and this is our second last video on our 3 parts series. On the last video, which is the next one, we are going to actually integrate the payment system. So this is basically it. This is going to be a very short one. I hope you guys are excited. If you like this type of content, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and comment. See you guys when we start coding, which is now. Let's go. So basically everything we did on our previous video is this. Nothing way too special. We only have products here. If you click here, nothing happens whatsoever. Now, to watch this tutorial, you have two options. Option number one, go and watch this video here, the part 1. But if you are too lazy or don't want to do that, you can just go to the GitHub repo, link in the description, click here in branches and select this branch that says load products. And basically this is everything we did on our part 1 of this. If you don't want to watch that video, you can just come here, bam, click here, download the zip, and you can start your tutorial from this video, right? But I would highly recommend you to watch the first one. Even if you download this code, it's just 15 minutes. So well, with that out of the way, let's start working on this video. Boom. The first thing I will want you guys to do is this. Go to your pubspec.yaml and make sure you have this packages the way I do. And these are the packages and the version. You can stop the video if you want to copy them. Mainly this one, the logger. You know, you'll see in a second why. Yeah, after you checked that you actually have all of these packages, go to app constants and just define this global variable here. Logger is equal to logger. And basically this will allow us to log some information to our console. It's basically that. Perfect. Now, another thing that I want to make sure you guys have is here inside of auth credential, where we create our user, where we add our user to Firebase actually. Here, make sure you have this line here, right, where we are creating this card. We are assigning an empty card for every new user. This is very important. Now, what we have to do is go and modify our user model. Make it this full screen. So we are going to import our cart items model, and this is already created. You don't have to worry about this. You can go and check the file to see what's there. Good. Now in here, we want to add our cart to the user model. So here we have it. Our cart is a list of cart item models. Boom. Now we are going to create a small function or method that it's going to convert our list from Firebase to a list of cart item models, because this is not how it's saved on Firebase. On Firebase, it's going to be a list of maps, and here we want to convert those maps into cart item model objects. So here we have it. It's very simple. Here we have logger, and we're basically logging the length of our list items just to make sure we have some items inside of our card, user card. And for each element inside of our card item, we want to convert that map into a card item model, right? And this is the method, super straightforward and super simple. Basically, we are adding every single element, every single map element into our result list here. Good. After that is done, our card object here is going to be equal to convert card items, and we are getting our card from Firebase, which is a list of maps. We are converting that into a list of card item models. If our list is empty, if our card is empty, we are going to assign card equal to an empty list. So this is basically it, everything you need to do here inside of the user model. Now what you have to do is here inside of controllers, create a new file called cardcontroller.dart, which is this one, an empty file. Just create this file, cardcontroller.dart, and this is going to deal with our user card. Everything related to our user card will be done here. First, we'll need to import a bunch of files. Again, you don't have to import them all at once, but you know, it makes your life easy. It makes your life easier. Then here we have the name of our card controller, which is called card controller and extends Getx controller. Our first line, as always, is an instance of our card controller. We use getFind to get the registered controller, right? If you're not understanding this, you better watch the previous videos. Now we have a variable here called total card price. Obviously, it gets the total amount you will have to pay for every single item inside of the cart, the sum actually. Right, what we are going to do here is override our onReady method. Basically, when we register this card controller, we want to call anything that is inside this method onReady. And onReady method, we are going to call a trigger, right, called ever. And basically what this means is every single time we have a change with the user model, we want to call this method change card total price. Boom. We still have to define this method, and we are going to define that in a minute, but let's start with probably the most important one, which add product to cart. And remember that this is going to take a product model, but our cart is made of cart item model, so we would have to convert our product model into a cart item model, and I'll show you guys how that is possible. First, error handling, try and catch statement, which is always good. Inside of our try, we want to check first if item is already added to our cart, and if it is, we are going to do something. If it's not, we are going to do something else. Again, we still have to define this method, don't worry about it. So if it is already inside of our cart, we want to display this snack bar that basically says check your cart, the product name is already added to the cart. If it's not, we are going to use our UUID dependency to create an item ID, right? Here we have our user controller.update data, cart field value array union. This may sound complex, but it's very simple actually. In Firebase or Firestore, if you want to add new elements to a list or an array, you use field value. Field value is basically what's already inside of this field, and you want to add this new array here, right? This is a union operation. So what we want to add to our cart is this, a map, right? And if I open my cart item model here, you'll see that basically this is the same structure. These are the fields that we have for our cart item model: ID, image, name, quantity, cost, price, and product ID. Boom, boom. And again, if you check here, the difference between the cost and the price, the cost is going to be equal to quantity times the price. But you can come here and have a look at the model if you want to understand better how it works, but it's basically that. So we are going to add a map because, again, we are storing a list of maps inside of our Firebase where we have the ID, product ID, name, quantity, price, item, and all of that. ID is the item ID, product ID is the respective product ID, obviously. If our operation is successful, we are going to display a snack bar saying the item was added to the cart. So have your item added, then we have product name was added to the cart. If not, we have here our error, cannot add this product to the cart. This is what's going to be displayed to the user, but for the developers, we have here debug print e.toString, so we can actually see exactly what's happening. We have another method, remove cart from cart item, which takes a cart item, and it's super straightforward. We have here inside of our catch of our try statement, we are going to do user controller.update user data. And again, to manipulate a list, to remove an item from a list, we use array remove field value, which is anything that is present inside of our array or list inside of Firebase, and we want to remove this specific item. And we have cart item dot to JSON, and this basically is going to convert our cart item model into a map because we are storing all of the items as maps, right? So we have to remove this map here. And if we have an error, again, cannot remove this item, and we can do a debug print to see exactly what's happening. Change cart total price, right? And again, we are going to take the user model object. Why? Because the list is it's a property of the user model. The cart is a property of the user model. So in here, we want to check what? If the user model cart is not empty, first of all, we are going to do user model cart for each. We are going to iterate through every single element inside of the cart. For each cart item, the total price is going to be equal to total price plus cart item cost. Straightforward, right? Now, our method here to check if our item is already added to the cart, again, returns a boolean and it takes the product model. In here, we have user controller, user model, cart. We are assessing the user cart, right? Where operation, because this is a list, item is equal to item product ID is equal to product ID. So basically, we are checking for any item inside of the cart where the product ID is equal to this particular product ID. If that exists, basically means that this product is already inside of the cart, right? It's not empty, right? Then we have our method here to decrease the quantity of items inside of the cart. Since the Firebase query or Firebase Firestore does not have a method to update the elements inside of an array, if you want to update an element, first of all, you'll have to remove it and then add it again. inside of our decrease quantity, we want to check something first. If the quantity of the item is 1, if we only have one item, if you decrease that, is equal to 0. So we are going to remove that item from our cart. If it's not, we are just going to decrease the quantity. So it's basically that. If the quantity is 1, we want to remove that item. If the quantity is not 1, we are still going to remove the item, but then we are going to do item quantity minus minus. So if the quantity is 2, now the quantity is going to be equal to 1, and we are going to add that item again to our database. So we remove the item, we reduce the quantity value, and we add that item again. Now to increase or to increment the quantity, we have this method, increase quantity, and we are taking the cart item model as well. First of all, we'll need to remove the item, and then we are going to add 1 to the quantity, and we are going to the logger here is basically just going to print in the console how many quantity we have, how many quantities we have. And we have here user controller, update user data. Again, we're going to add that item, right? Super simple, super straightforward. And this is basically it, right? Now, let's go back to our shopping cart. And here we have our shopping cart. So at the moment, we have here one element cart item model, and this is hard coded, unfortunately. So we want to get this from our database, which is super simple. First of all, we are going to wrap everything inside of the OBX method. And down here, where we have our button, we are going to wrap inside of the OBX method as well, where we have our custom button. I don't know if I can show you guys this. Oh, it's closed. Good. Now here inside of our OBX button, we are going to have cart controller dot total price value, right? But we have an error here, and it's super simple because we still have to come here to our constants, and inside of constants we want to open controllers, and in here we just want to add our cart controller so that we can access this from anywhere inside of the app. Good. Let's go back to the shopping cart. And now to get the total price, we're going to do here cart controller dot total cart price. We define this variable dot value dot to string fixed 2. And because this is a boolean, actually we don't want it to have unlimited number of decimal places, so we want to limit this to 2. For example, the product can only be 5.99, not 5.999999. So this is basically to limit the decimal places, which is good. Now continuing here, let's get rid of this and do something like this. Boom. Now here inside of our column, I don't know if you guys saw what happened, but I just removed the cart item, the hard coded, and now we are going to do that now using user controller dot user model dot cart user model dot value dot cart, and this is going to access our cart list belonging to this particular user, and we're going to convert that into map, and then we're going to add, and we're going to do this operation. We're going to map inside of this. We are going to convert every single element inside of our cart into a cart item widget, and we are going to return a list, right? Now the final part is actually clicking this cart item widget here and do some modifications, right? So the first thing to do here, where we have our icon button, the right one, we are going to call cart controller dot increase quantity of our cart item. In here, where we have the left one, we are going to do cart controller dot decrease quantity of the item, and this item is the cart item. We need to add a semicolon here. And one final thing is, since we're not dealing with asset images no more, we'll need to change this to network, right? Good. We still need to do two things to make sure this is going to work. First of all, let's go to the main, and right here we need to register our cart controller. And the final thing here is, inside of the single product, you see this icon here that we use to add the products to cart. Inside of the onPressed method, we want to call cart controller dot add product to cart. So this is basically it. Let's save everything and run it. So my friends, here we have our app, and if you click, our cart is empty. Let's add an item to the cart. Here we have it. Boom. Let's do this. It works. Everything works the way it's supposed to do. Try to edit again. Perfectly fine. So this was it, and on our next video we are going to integrate the payment system, one of the most interesting parts about this project actually. And after that is done, the project will be considered over, I guess, unless you guys want to learn something new. Other than that, thank you for watching. See you guys on the next one. Bye.